The conversation around this game has been slowly drifting in one direction, and that direction feels far too convenient for everyone involved except the one person actually under the microscope. From the outside, it sounds calm, professional, even reasonable. But when you slow everything down and really listen to what was said and what was avoided, a much clearer picture starts to form. This was not a clean football loss where one player melted down and cost his team the game. This was a layered failure, spread across protection, play calling, execution, and leadership, with a quarterback left holding the bill because that is the easiest story to sell. Early on, there is acknowledgement that the quarterback made the right read and delivered a good ball. That matters. In football, that is the job. Read the defense, trust the play design, put the ball where it is supposed to be. When that happens and the play still dies, the breakdown is no longer on the quarterback. Yet the tone immediately shifts away from that reality. Instead of building from that moment and saying the offense wasted a good play, the conversation becomes vague, hollow, and strangely distant. Words like rhythm, consistency, and watching the film float around without ever landing on responsibility. That is not accidental. That is survival language. What gets lost in that fog is context. The pocket was collapsing. The run game never established balance. Timing routes were being asked to work in difficult weather without adjustment. Drives were already starting behind schedule because of penalties. That is not an environment where a young quarterback can simply manage the game and cruise. That is an environment where he is forced to press, to extend plays, to try to create something out of nothing. When that happens, mistakes become more likely, not because of recklessness, but because the margin for error has disappeared. Pretending otherwise is lazy football analysis. There is also a glaring difference in mindset between leadership and optics. On one side, there is talk about growth, lessons, and the long journey. That language matters because it protects development. It tells a young quarterback that mistakes are part of progress, not a verdict on his future. On the other side, there is a noticeable refusal to fully own individual failures. Instead of saying help was not given, the conversation drifts toward collective struggle without ever including the speaker as part of the problem. That quiet distancing is where trust starts to crack inside a locker room. Accountability is not about pointing fingers loudly. It is about clarity. When a receiver says the pass was good and the play was there, that is an admission whether intended or not. It means the quarterback did his job. Once that is established, the failure shifts elsewhere. But instead of connecting that dot, the conversation stops short. The truth is left hanging in the air, and the audience is allowed to fill in the blanks. Unfortunately, the blank everyone fills in is the quarterback because that is who already carries the weight of expectation. The uneven standard is impossible to ignore. When a quarterback throws an interception, it becomes a defining moment, replayed and dissected endlessly. When a veteran drops passes or fails to finish at the point of attack, it becomes part of the game, something to move past. That double standard quietly poisons evaluation. Football is the ultimate team sport, but the quarterback position absorbs blame like no other. That responsibility comes with the job, but it does not mean context should be thrown away. In this game, context is everything. Injuries up front forced backups into action. That alone changes protection schemes and timing. Weather conditions affected grip, routes, and spacing. The play calling never adjusted to help the quarterback settle into rhythm. There were no easy answers, no designed outlets, no clear effort to slow the game down. Instead, it felt like survival mode from the opening drive. That is not how young quarterbacks are set up to succeed. Then there is coaching, which cannot be ignored. Penalties extended drives for the opponent and killed momentum. Clock management issues added unnecessary pressure. Challenges were mishandled. Special teams failed in basic execution. When every phase of the game shows cracks on the same day, the problem is not one player. It is structural. It starts at the top and works its way down. Blaming the quarterback in that situation is not leadership. It is deflection. The most telling moments come when questions are asked directly and answers drift sideways. When asked about progress, there is hesitation. When asked about mistakes, the conversation becomes philosophical. When asked about collective responsibility, the language becomes abstract. That is not honesty. That is careful self-preservation. Meanwhile, the quarterback continues to be judged on outcomes without acknowledgement of conditions. None of this is about pretending the quarterback was perfect. He was not. He had imperfections, just like every young quarterback learning under fire. But those imperfections did not decide the game. They were symptoms of a broken environment. When a quarterback is asked to overcome protection failures, poor play design, and execution issues simultaneously, interceptions become a statistical inevitability. That is not an excuse. That is reality. What makes this situation frustrating is how predictable it is. This is how quarterbacks get labeled before they ever get a fair evaluation. The narrative forms early, and once it sticks, it becomes hard to shake. Teammates speak carefully. Coaches deflect. Analysts reduce everything to turnovers. Meanwhile, the tape tells a much more complicated story to anyone willing to watch it honestly. At the end of the day, this game was not lost because of one position. It was lost because the system around that position failed repeatedly. Until that is acknowledged, the cycle will continue. The quarterback will be asked to do more with less, mistakes will follow, and the blame will remain misplaced. Real development does not happen in that environment. Now it is your turn. Do you think this quarterback is being judged unfairly because of bad coaching, poor protection, and lack of accountability around him? Or do you believe the interception should outweigh everything else that happened on the field? Drop your thoughts in the comments, let the debate run, and if you want more real football breakdowns that go deeper than surface-level takes, make sure to like the video and subscribe so you do not miss what comes next.